get so nervous. It's like I'm about to go on a date, you know? But it's not our first date. No, it's not our first date. No, it's our 48th date. Hi. Hi, it's our 48th date. What do you do on your 48th date with someone? What is that? Is that tin? Crystal? I don't know. It's our 48th date. And I guess I'm just going to tell you all the times I tried to kill myself. That's normal, right? That's totally normal and what you would talk about on your 48th date with someone. I mean, I guess maybe it took me a little while, but like you knew this was coming. So I've got shout outs, but just feel them in my heart, and know that I'm getting your messages, and I love you, and I'm going to write back to everybody. Oh, I do. I wrote you back. Okay. I love you. I love you. The first time I tried to kill myself, I was 10. And that's kind of early, right? That's like, okay, are you insane? Yes. So the first time I tried to kill myself, I was 10. And I don't think I really knew what suicide was. The only context I had for that was whatever I'd seen on film and TV. No one like sat down and had a suicide talk with me. But I do know at 10 years old that if you swallow a bunch of pills, you'll basically fall asleep and you won't wake up. That's my context for suicide at 10 years old. So at 10 years old, my mom had disappeared. She had been gone for, nearly 3 months at this point. I was living alone in a townhouse in Laguna Niguel, and I hadn't been to school, and I was out of food, and nobody knew where I was. So I was just living at this townhouse by myself, and my grandparents were paying all the bills, and so they didn't know what was going on. And my mom was in Oregon water skiing. I mean, allegedly. I don't know where she was, but she wasn't there. So one day I was like, okay, I guess I'll just end it. I'll just fall asleep, and then I won't be here anymore. So I took a bottle of expired ibuprofen, and I swallowed every single pill in the bottle, which took a really long time and was very unpleasant, just to continuously swallow pills over and over again. And nothing happened. I felt fine. I mean, I fell asleep like normal, not anytime sooner than I would have otherwise. And I woke up the next day and it was fine. It was just like, okay. So I guess it was my first failed suicide attempt, and I didn't feel any, guilt or remorse, or I wasn't like, oh, I'm so glad I'm alive. I'm just kind of like, that was an interesting science experiment that I, achieved in private. So that was my first time, and I was kind of like, okay, there's nothing else I can use to do that with. And shortly thereafter, my grandparents showed up and, took me back to Chicago, and my life went on. And it wasn't until I was 13 that I tried to kill myself the second time. So when I was 13, I was like, okay, ibuprofen doesn't work. But I know that you can get over-the-counter pills that you can swallow that will kill you. And so when I was 13, I was living in a different part of California, in a different townhouse with my mother, and things had gotten really bad. She was deep into her meth addiction at this point, and this was the last year that I ever lived with her, that I was ever with her as a parent-daughter relationship. And not only did she, disappear for days or weeks at a time, but now she was letting strangers live in our house and do drugs there. And there was a weird guy that lived below me and was in our house all the time. And he was not old. He was younger, and I was 13, and I felt uncomfortable, probably for a myriad of reasons. But, most importantly being that that's fucking weird, and that's a weird situation to be in when you're 13. So I was like, all right, I don't want to be here anymore. I've done this before unsuccessfully, but I learned from my mistakes and I can adapt and adjust. So I took a bunch of extra strength Benadryl. I took 2 boxes of extra strength Benadryl one day and locked myself in my room. I went to Home Depot and I bought a new lock so that no one could come in and get me like a lock that you needed a key to open. While I was doing this. So I was careful. I planned. I tried to do my best to adjust and be more successful this time. But, I wasn't. Extra strength Benadryl, 2 boxes, like that's not going to do it. So nothing happened. I fell asleep. I slept for a really long time and then I woke up. And when I woke up, my grandfather was like taking a drill to the door and, opening it and being like, what are you doing? Get out of here, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're taking you, to Illinois. So went to Illinois for the summer. That was the, hi. that was the solution to that problem. So that was 13. And that was my second time. The third time I tried to kill myself, I was 17. My dad had just died. I was in Miami. I was at his funeral. It was the night before. We were going to do the whole thing. I swear I'm not going to cry this whole time, just like a little bit at certain times, but it's okay. I love you guys. So you can cry too if you want to. So the night before, I had done some research. I was older. I had the internet. I knew more and I was serious, and I was sad. Like, I was in so much pain. My dad was the only person that I ever felt like really loved me, and he was gone, and I didn't want to live anymore. And I felt like this time I can do it. This time I'm going to fucking be smarter and better, and I'm going to do it. So I went to Walgreens, drove myself to Walgreens. I got 2 bottles of extra strength Tylenol PM, and I took all of them. And I got really sick. So it's a day of my dad's funeral and I am like puking green sludge in the bathroom. And I just remember that my grandfather, my dad's dad, my abuelo, called 911. That was the first time I was like taken to a hospital and they were like, oh, you're trying to kill yourself. And I was like, I guess, whatever, but it's like my dad's funeral, things were fucked up. Like I was fucked up. There was like a little bit more, I forget what it's called, like a 504, 50, 5111. There's some like code that it's called when you like try to commit suicide that the police officers in the hospital use. So they didn't even like use that code on me. They were just kind of like, this is an accident. Your family's here. You're going through a tough time. We're not going to like keep you for the normal 72 hours. But I got my stomach pumped for the first time. I had to like drink that gross, icky, ever tried to commit suicide, charcoal drink that they give you in the hospital to like get all the toxins out of your body and keep you alive. And they let me go and I, got on a plane and went to Europe after that. Like, cool, cool adolescence, cool way to graduate high school. So that was the third time. The fourth time I tried to kill myself, I was in college. I was 18 and I was in a bad relationship. Does this sound familiar? I was in a bad relationship and something happened and it was traumatic and I was upset and I was like, I want to die. I'm like, I've been here before. I'm barely hanging on every day. I just feel like I want this to be over. Like, how am I going to handle that? How am I going to handle that emotion? And I was like, I know what to do. I want to kill myself. So I'm just like, I have to be more careful. And last time it almost worked, but I got like held up. So I'm like, I can do that again, but better. So same thing, Walgreens, Tylenol PM, 3 bottles this time. We're going to like make sure we get the job done. So swallow them all. Halfway through it, I start to get sick. And same thing, like green sludge, puke, pass out. My college like roommate finds me in the bathroom. It's a mess. It's totally a scene. And I've been here before, but this is like my go-to trauma response. So finds me in the bathroom, holds me up in the shower, like naked, showering off like the puke of my face and my chest, and calls 911. Get my stomach pumped again. This time they're like, all right, sweetie, what's wrong? You know, like, we're going to keep you for 72 hours. We're going to put you on some meds. We're going to take away your shoelaces. We are going to document the fact that you're unstable. And you know, after that, it's like, send you on your way. You know, like the 72-hour hold only does so much. And the much that it does is it's like, all right, let's get you on some fucking mood stabilizers. And, you know, we'll like put you in a group therapy with people that are dealing with way more severe issues than you. And, you know, just hope for the best, right? Hope for the best. So that was kind of like the first time I was ever put on antidepressants, is because I tried to kill myself and they were like, this'll make it better. I mean, obviously that's like not the case, because I'm talking about, you know, damn near 20 years of like trauma that's never healed, like generational trauma that's never healed, like being, you know, a person who lives in oppressed society. Like, it's like, we're all fucked up, right? But it's like, how are you going to deal with that? So, do you want to take pills? I don't personally. That's like not my choice, you know, not my preference. That's like not the choice I would make. That just isn't what works for me. So the fifth time I tried to kill myself, I was 19. I went through a tough period of time just after my dad died, my adolescence turning into my adulthood. I'm selling drugs. I'm on my own. My whole life is really fucked up, and I can't tell anyone about anything that's real, as I'm just sort of pretending to be this happy hippie in front of my friends, and my family's like, you're off the deep end. And so I really have like no genuine support system outside of my relationship. So when my relationships go south, then I'm like, okay, I cannot handle being a human in this world anymore, and I need it to end. And I need it to end now. There's no like, oh, we're going to wait and see if this gets better. It's like, no, we're going to take action and take control of the situation. And it's like, you don't have to be in pain if you can end your life, right? So I really appreciate autonomy and freedom, you know, so much so that I'm like, I'll kill myself if I fucking want to. So the fifth time I tried to kill myself, I was 19. This is again, college, you know, shitty situation with my boyfriend. Is this sounding familiar? Like, this is pathetic. This is embarrassing. You guys like this, right? I hope so. So I was 19 and I'm like, all right, obviously the pills aren't enough, you know, and now I'm like medicated on like prescription drugs. It's like I have to go to a pharmacy to get the drugs that they have me on now. And it's like the drugs obviously worked so well, because in less than a year, I'm like right back where I started. You know, it's like my boyfriend fucks a stripper on my birthday and I'm like, that's it. It's over. And this time I was like, but I gotta like attack it from both sides. I can't just like count on the pills. I have to like take the pills, and then I have to like do something else to ensure that death will take me. So I took all of the antidepressants. I took all of the prescriptions. I took all of the sleeping pills. I took every single drug that I had in my pharmacy all at once. No more Tylenol PM. I'm older. I'm smarter. I'm wiser. I'm streamlined. We're going to fucking do this shit. And then I got into a bathtub and I slit my wrists. But, you know, I was like a little fucked up at this point. So I didn't do it the right way. I didn't go deep enough. It hurt. I was kind of being a little bitch about it at that point. It's like swallowing pills is one thing, but like taking a knife to your fucking skin is another, you know? And it's like, again, it's something if you're going to do that in sex and there's like a pleasure aspect involved. But when you're like crying and you're sad and you're in a bathtub and you're alone and your boyfriend fucked a stripper on your birthday, you're just like, what? It's harder. It's harder to cut your wrists in that situation. And it was my first time really trying to like take a blade to my skin and cut it with the intention of severing a vein so deeply that it would eventually allow me to bleed out. So I didn't really get anywhere, you know? And I think I was being dramatic, and maybe I'd like sent some text to my boyfriend along the lines of like, fuck you, I'm going to kill myself. And I was serious, and I don't think he really understood my history to, you know, the full extent, but he took me seriously and like called the cops and they came to my apartment and they broke down my door and then they were like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like in a, lacy black bra and I'm bleeding and I'm like, "I'm fine." I'm fine. I'm so fine. Same thing. Hospital, stomach pump, OD, 72 hours, more meds. You're fine. This worked out really well. You're fine. You're fine, sweetie. You're fine. You're fine. So the sixth time I tried to kill myself, I was 21. I just caught my boyfriend having a threesome with two dudes in our apartment and a 2-year lease that I signed. I was a wreck. I was like, wow, the only person I've ever loved and trusted, like, has been lying to me so much and so deeply. I don't know, like, if up is down. So I was slower. I was more careful. I was sure that this time I was going to really do it. I was like, that's it. I'm like, you don't know anything. No one will ever hurt you this much. Ha 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 ha. That's a joke. No one will ever hurt you this much. And that's it. Like, this is it. You can just bow out now and it's fine. And I give myself so much space in my heart and in my head to be like, if you don't want to live anymore, you don't fucking have to. Like, that's the compassion that I offer myself daily, is that, like, when something's hard, when something's tough, when I don't want to wake up and go to work, like, if I don't want to fucking talk to you, it's like, I can just kill myself, like, I don't have to do this. Every moment that I share on this earth is a choice, so I chose to go slow. I contacted a dealer that I knew that sold pills. I bought 50 Xanax bars. So I had like so much benzodiazepam. Like, I had enough to kill a horse. I had enough to kill a child. I had enough to kill me. And I was careful. I packed up all my stuff. I said goodbye to everyone, but like wasn't sad or weird about it. I like gave all my shit away. And then I drove to Florida and I went to my friend Sydney's house. And I spent a couple of days with her and I went to the beach and I played with her dog. And then she went out to dinner one night and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it now. I was ready. I was calm. I was careful. I took every single pill that I had. And then I went into her bathroom and I took a bath and I just, waited. I was like, I'll either die from the benzos or I'll pass out and I'll drown while I'm passed out. And either way, I will be gone. And there's nothing, like, there's no way, this is it. Like, this is it. Like, I got it. I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to get it. I'm going to fucking get this death thing. And that's not what happened. Oh, what really happened is, well, it's sick. It's ugly. It was a mess. It was a whole fucking scene again. But, I don't really remember much of what happened. I can only rely on what I've been told by the people who were there, which unfortunately happened to be one of my best fucking friends. And in like the storm of my sadness, I didn't really stop and think like, how is this going to affect, someone that I love or someone that I'm close to, or like how unfair that was, or how fucked up and like, honestly, like a little fucking evil and like selfish. Talk about selfish. How selfish is that to do to someone that loves you and cares about you and has no idea what the fuck is going on, So she came home and she, tried to get in the bathroom, couldn't get in, got really nervous when she couldn't hear from me and the door was locked. So called 911, had them break down the door, and I'm like blue. And she's like screaming and crying, and they're like reviving me like in the bathroom, naked on her fucking floor. And poor Sydney. God, poor Sydney. She can't even listen to this podcast like anymore because it hurts her so much. And she's like one of my best friends, I've known her since college. Like, I've known her forever. Like, we are Thick as Thieves. If you want to say hey to her, she's on my Instagram page. Every month I like to do like a little tribute to someone that I love, and she's on there for one of those. So if you guys want to look, you can see my friend Sydney, who found me blue in her bathroom senior year of college. For what? For some guy? Because he was gay? Like, looking back, like from where I'm sitting now, I'm just like, oh, I feel stupid. I feel embarrassed. I feel ridiculous. I feel dramatic. I feel like a dumb fucking idiot. It makes me want to kill myself, honestly. I feel so stupid about all of the failed suicide attempts that I've had over the course of my life that it makes me want to kill myself. Depression is weird. So that time, because I had OD'd several times, because I had been trying to kill myself since I was 10 years old, because I had like a unstable mental health history that was now documented in my medical charts. They weren't just like, okay, 72 hours and you're fine. They were like, you're troubled, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, putting it mildly, but sure, I'm troubled. I am a troubled youth. So like, what do you got for me, doc, And what they had was a fucking lithium drip, So I was like cemented to a bed for a week. I remember less about the week after the actual incident than I remember about that night, So it's like weird. I went into that bathroom to kill myself, and then I emerged like a week later, hopped up on goofballs from like a mental institution. And so now I'm 21 and I'm like, okay, so you're crazy. So you're crazy for real. Okay, so you're actually like mentally unwell. Okay, maybe you're a little sick in the head. Okay, psycho, like what are you going to do about it, And then it's like, I thought that I had really like experienced pain, I really thought that I had like been through it, I thought that I had it so rough. And then I went to prison. And you all know how well that worked out. If you don't, go back, listen to all my podcast episodes, because it really helps support this channel. And we're really trying to take down the oppression of the industrial prison complex. So if you would like to help us, please listen to all the episodes and tell your friends. But, I thought I had like been through it, right? And then I went to prison, and then I got out of prison, and then I did everything that I've been talking about for the last couple of months. And then I got into this abusive relationship, and then something happened and I had a bad day, and then I jumped off a fucking 5-story building. Because try again, if at first you don't succeed, it's like, you'll get there, don't ever give up on your dreams. Lord knows I didn't, I had been trying to kill myself since I was 10 years old. And eventually I succeeded. I think actually I'm addicted to suicide. That's how I feel about it. I feel like I use that as a solution to my problems. I use that as like an answer. Even now when it's like, I'm not going to try and kill myself again because I've died. I did it. I'm like, I've been there. But I do feel every day a little bit like I want to die, like every day a little bit, and it fluctuates. Some days it's more, some days it's a lot more, some days it's a lot less. But every day I do feel like, yeah, I could be done. I could be done with this. I'm done here. Or I'm like in pain and I'm like, end it. Please fucking end it. Or I'm just like, I don't know, like I miss my family and I want to also be dead. Or I just like, feel like I'll never fall in love again, and then that makes me want to die. Or I feel like every time I've been in love, it's been a lie, and that makes me want to die. Or I just feel like the world is fucked up, and that makes me want to die. Or I just feel like nothing will ever be like right or fair, and that makes me want to die. Or I just feel like nothing matters, and that makes me want to die. So I feel like I'm addicted to suicide. But I like it though. I like it. It like makes me feel better to think that like I could jump off another building if I wanted to. I'm not gonna. Relax. Don't take away my shoelaces. But like, I would do it again, maybe. All right. So the 7th time I tried to kill myself, I jumped off a 5-story building when I was 25. I don't know if you guys remember, but when I got arrested in Ohio, I had my boyfriend, the guy I'm living with now, put money in my commissary. And it was like a process because I had to go to court in order to get released, but we didn't know if I was going to have a bail, and we didn't know how much that bail was going to be, and we didn't know how much money we were going to need or how much cash we were going to be able to liquidate, in a random town in Ohio. So after that happened, I knew that I had money. I knew that I had stocks. I knew that I had access to liquid cash at certain points of time throughout the year. So we decided I decided that it would be a really good idea to give this dude power of attorney in case I got arrested so that he could get money out of my bank accounts so that he could bail me out of jail. So that's how this all started. So this started like years in the making. I dated this human being for 5 fucking years, and 3 years into our relationship, I gave him power of attorney. And then 2 years later, he stole $50,000 from me over the course of a year. We were living together, and he was slowly but surely selling stocks of mine, and he was taking the money from the sale, and he was funneling it into a different account that, only had his name in it. And after the course of a year, he had somehow accumulated 50 grand. And it was like small enough amounts, and I was spending enough money out of that account that it wasn't noticeable. It was not something that I checked on every day. But eventually, after a year, I did get a call from my accountant telling me that, quite a bit of money had been taken out and had been sold, and that it wasn't really wise to sell this stock, that it was actually better for me if I wanted, to keep like the dividends at the level that they were coming to not sell anything. And I was like so confused when I got this call, because I was like, what do you mean? Like, I haven't sold any stock in fucking years. I haven't sold stock since before I went to prison. Like, there's no way like you're telling me that it's a bad idea to sell stock because I haven't sold any. And that's how and when we found out, was a year later. 50 grand is missing. And it turns out that this dude that I was living with, where I was paying all of his bills, where we were having all of this like weird sex, where I was in this sort of like abusive relationship while he was having a fucking emotional affair with a British girl under my roof. He was also stealing from me, like low key, like straight up, just like a thief in the night, I installed spyware into his phone, but that dude was funneling money out of, my inheritance pretty much since the day he moved in. So I found out about the money, and I confronted him, and his response was, I never loved you, and I'm gay. And I was like, okay. Cool. So good to know. 5 years in and 50 grand later. But like, okay. I kind of guessed that you were gay, but like, I can only laugh about it now because it's just like how pathetic and ridiculous and stupid am I to have gotten myself into that situation. But there's another element to it that I really don't want to talk about very much and is personal and painful. And so please, I know some of you guys, when you feel like you're connecting with me on something in particular, you really want to open up, and like, I love that. And I want to have a dialogue about this, but I want to do it in a way that makes me not want to kill myself. So just take that into consideration when I explain to you the next element of what's happening here. So during this time, we've been living together for a year. Actually, we've been living together for 13 months, and he finally has a job. He's telling me that he's like really invested in this relationship. We've gone through all of this stuff, the British girl, the gonorrhea, the everything. There's so much that happens every like day. It's like a huge fight between us, and we're just like living in a psychotic, like situation. But I got pregnant, and I had a miscarriage, And I found out that I was pregnant while I was like having a miscarriage. So it wasn't like this, oh, we're trying for a baby and then it happens and blah, blah, blah. But like, we're engaged, that was like weird. I had never been pregnant before. It was like such a mind fuck because it was like this weird hormonal, influx that I was in. At the same time, like at this time, we're both having so much sex outside of our relationship. Like I was pretty much having sex with like a different person almost every day, at least like 4 times a week. And I would go out and I would leave after I got home from work and I would like have sex with someone else. And then I would come home and I would have sex with him. And I was just like feeding into this like psychosexual addiction because I was so unhappy and I was just like so out of control of my life and my situation. And then I had all these crazy physical symptoms and I'm like, no, fuck, not another STD. Like what's going on? It's like, this is just pushing me closer and closer and closer to like jumping off of a building. And then I find out about the money. And then during all of this time, I'm like having a miscarriage. So it was like, I found out about the miscarriage about, I want to say like 2 days before the money. And I just had a bunch of like crazy physical symptoms. I ended up in urgent care, and then they informed me that I was pregnant and that I was miscarrying and that I would have to like do a D&C or a D&E, I think is what it's called, dilation and extraction, which is basically like an abortion, but the baby's already dead. So fun. And so then I did that and I went home and I was so sad and I was like so low. I just felt so low at that point and I felt so alone. And I remember asking him, begging him, being like, please stay home. I was like crying. I was so sad. And he was like, no, I have to go to work. He had gotten a job at like Uber corporate. And he was like, I really need to like, see about this job, like hope that it works out or whatever. And he left. And then like, I think around then while he was at work, that was when I got the call from the accountant and found out about the money. And then he came home and we had like the fight. We had like the fight where you break up, where it's like I confront him about the money. He's like, I'm gay. And then it was just like, honestly, the most calm I've ever felt. Because I think at that point, it was just so much stress and so much pressure that I finally just felt the sweet relief of like death, or like the relief that suicide can really give a person who is like mentally unstable, where it's like, I am in control and I have a solution to this problem, which is like, I'm miserable and I want to die. So my solution is I'm going to fucking kill myself. And I was just like, okay. It wasn't even like super crazy. We had so many fights. We had such a tough year of like living together. Was hard. It was painful. I gave him the engagement ring back and I was like, well, you can keep this because it was a lie. And I just said, all right, I'm going to kill myself. Like, I pretty much said it like that. I was like, all right, cool, I'm going to kill myself. And I packed a bag and he was like, I'm going to move out. And I'm like, I'm going to kill myself. And we just kind of, decided on our game plan of how we were going to end the relationship. And he was going to move out and I was going to kill myself. And so I packed a bag and booked a night at a hotel at the Congress. And I left and I went to go kill myself. And he moved out. So, was this fun for you? I love you. I am going to go smoke weed about it, and I'll see you next week. Okay? Write a review on iTunes. This is really fun for everyone. Thanks. Bye.